us who have been close to local government and the hospital service know just how deep the cuts have gone. We know that schools haven't been maintained. We know that the standard of education is dropping. And it's no accident that on so many union banners, before organised control, it says educate. Because this government knows that an attack on education is an attack on the working class, and an attack on education means a weaker working class. In the hospital service, we've seen hospitals fall into decay. We've got this squalid little trick, care in the community, closing down psychiatric hospitals and tipping people out to be cared for by local councils. And what do they do to local councils? They take away £13 billion over 5 years, so that people come out of psychiatric hospitals, and you can see them in many of our seaside towns, just ambling along the promenades, from bus shelter to bus shelter, with nowhere to go but into a private hotel, a private boarding house, maintaining the lowest possible standards and ripping off poor people and ripping off the state. Poor people in this country is rising at a faster rate than the number of home helps. Look at the figures. They're all around. They tell a story of neglect, and most of that neglect is obvious to all of us. But some of it is more pernicious, some of it is more insidious, and some of it you need to uncover. My union has a lot of members in the water industry, and I've always thought that it was a test of a civilised society as to whether it could actually deliver clean, pure water to its inhabitants. I've looked at the number of sewer collapses over the last 5 years, and you know they've nearly trebled. One of the diseases associated with dirty water is dysentery. Look at the figures in our society for the incidence of dysentery over the last 5 years. The same increase, the number of cases has trebled. The same increase as the collapses in sewers that threaten public health. And in Bradford, in Manchester, and in Belfast, we can trace the connection. The failure of our public services is causing disease. And is this government worried? Why should it be? It's not her people that are getting diseased. It's our people. It's our people that suffer when public services collapse, and that's why we ought to put more effort into defending them than we have so far. If the sewers collapse and you get dysentery, you're taken to hospital. And we've looked at some of the figures about hospitals as well. Do you know the best chance you've got in this society of ours, this rich society of ours, of getting salmonella poisoning? The best chance is if you're in prison. And some of our comrades are in there now. Do you know the second best chance? In hospital. In hospital, you get as much chance of getting salmonella poisoning in hospital as in any other of our institutions apart from prison. What an indictment of our public services. We've looked at some of the hospitals that we organise in the GNB. You go into the hospital kissing and you see a scene of devastation. You see cracked tiles that haven't been repaired. You see overhead pipes that haven't been cleaned. You see grimy walls. You see refrigerators that are working at the wrong temperature. You see food storage systems operating with raw and cooked food alongside one another. Ideal terms and conditions for the breeding of salmonella. You remember Stanley Royd Hospital at Wakefield? 26 old people died of salmonella outbreak. The government will say it's an exception. Over 2,000 people in hospital each year get salmonella poisoning, and because of a loophole in the law, there's nothing that can be done legally about it. As the money is cut for hospitals, so standards fall, and as standards fall, so our people suffer. Our people don't have the protection of private incomes and private medicine. They have to go into these hospitals and they have to get the secondary infection and they have to suffer as a result. That's what the attack on the public services means. It's not a rarefied academic argument. It's a real attack on real people, and the neglect is causing disease. Now, I understand that the government has a wonderful way of curing all these problems. It's the way that you're seeing being developed at Scarsdale Hospital. It's a marvellous thing called privatisation. You bring in contractors and you load on top of 5 or 6 years of neglect, profiteering, corner-cutting contractors whose standards are so low. They say they're efficient, these contractors. There was a case in the northwest of England, which some of you will know about, where a contractor tendered for a refuse collection service. He put in a tender which said that the refuse collectors in his employment could carry 5.5 tons of refuse each day. It's an awful lot of refuse. But that really wasn't the worst part of the tender, because underneath that, he said that while they weren't lifting the refuse, they could carry it and walk and run a mere matter of 27 miles each day in just over 3 hours. Now, I know you'll all be relieved to hear that that is outside the Olympic qualifying standard for the marathon, but I've got to tell you that even an Olympic runner doesn't have to run the marathon every day of the week. These people, they've got no idea of maintaining the standards that they put. 9.25 seconds for cleaning a bath in a hospital. That's a standard of contractors. 1.2 seconds for cleaning a square metre of fouled wall. That's the standards they put in. They've got no intention of keeping them at all. They just intend to get the contract, grab the money, and there their obligation ends. There are some people who are doing very nicely out of this privatisation business, and I want to end by just telling you of one scandal that's occurred in the last 3 weeks in Kent, because it seems to me to tell everything everybody needs to know about privatisation and about contractors. A small hospital in Kent was being cleaned by a firm called Hospital Hygiene Services. It's got its headquarters not a long way from here, about 25 miles from here. And in that particular hospital, they took the contract up last September. There have been 27 specific and major complaints in a 3-week period. 27 complaints. In the end, the health authority took legal advice. They were told the contractor was in breach of contract and they terminated the contract. I think we ought to applaud one of the few health authorities who've got the courage to do that. What happens? Mr. Clements, a senior manager for this company, rushes off and tells the minister that the health authority has been vindictive. 27 major complaints in 3 weeks. That's how vindictive they were. Who's this man Clements? Until 18 months ago, he was a senior civil servant working in the DHSS, drafting, do you know what he was drafting? The privatisation policy of this government. He was given 2 years leave of absence to go and work for Hospital Hygiene Services. After 6 months, he found the money was better than he got as a civil servant. He left the DHSS and used his particular knowledge and his particular expertise to earn a higher salary for a private contractor. But that's not the end of the story, because who else goes to see Kenneth Clarke, the Minister of Health? A man you may know, not so very far from here, Marcus Fox, MP for Shipley and the director of this company. He goes to see Kenneth Clarke, and what does Kenneth Clarke say? Get out on your bike. This is a company that can't manage to maintain standards in the health service. No, it's surprising to know Kenneth Clarke didn't say that. He said that the company had been treated shabbily, and he sent a circular all around the country telling companies that they needed to be secure and telling health authorities that they mustn't cancel contracts, however bad the standards, until he, Kenneth Clarke, the Minister, had given his approval. So if you get contractors into Scarsdale, however bad they are, you can't sack them until Mr. Kenneth Clarke gives his approval for sacking them. And that's the story of privatisation in the health service. It's political pressure, it's commercial pressure, it's something very close to a nasty smell and a nasty word, which I'm not going to use because I can't afford the legal fees, but that's the story of privatisation. In that story we can see all the reasons why we need to defend our public services, and in that story we can see all the reasons why we have got to destroy the principles, if that's the word, that this government is based on, and we have got to restore the moral values of our society, and we've got to restore our public services to their former glory. Thank you, colleagues.
Months he has travelled the length and breadth of the country, 6 and 7 nights a week, arguing the miners' case. And as a measure of the man's commitment for the past 12 months, has made exactly the same sacrifices as the miners have made. Because Derek Skinner has donated his salary every month for the last 12 months to the Miners' Hardship Fund. So please welcome the champion of working class, Derek Skinner.
Speakers this morning, and I'd just like to take up the theme that John Edmonds referred to at the end. He talked about privatisation in the health service, and he talked about the question of the lack of funds and salmonella poisoning. That's violence. That's violence by the state. And when they talk about miners defending the comrades on the picket line and saying that's violence, that pales into insignificance as compared to what John Edmonds said about the state of our National Health Service hospitals because of the lack of funds. That's violence by this government, violence by the NLA British sector. Well, he didn't try it any other way. He also said something else, didn't he? And John Tucker before him. They were saying this government knows what it's up to. They're moving in the direction they want to. That Sir Kenneth Clarke, or whatever his name is, that he does what the Tory masters decree. That's what John Edmonds said. John, and everybody else in the trade union movement, especially David Basnett and Duffy and all the rest. Remember, when you have a Labour government next time, make sure it toes the line and carries out the vision of the movement. That's the lesson. Can't be any other. Because you know, in the last Labour government between 74 and 79, one of the biggest problems I had when I was voting against the government because it was betraying its manifesto was that people were coming out of Congress House telling Skinner to stop his antics, and I was backing the Labour policy. We don't want any more of that next time, do we? Hey?